Hello, crafty friends. If you've been following along with any of my social media, you know we've been building a house across the street from our cabin for the last year and a half. With the planning stages, it's been 2 years, and I have made my husband a journal to record everything that he's done with making this amazing project come to fruition. Just as a quick backstory, my mother was diagnosed with Parkinson's several years ago, and we needed to bring her closer to care for her. And Michael, who we call Cog, has building experience and decided he could build her a house across the street. So this is the journal that I made for him to put all the keepsakes of our journey through that. It is a 6x9 journal, and it is hardcovered. And I just love the boots are so perfect because that's what his boots look like. And every day he drags back and sits on the porch and takes off his dirty work boots. And this is the house that Cog built. It's about 2¼ inches, the spine is, and I've got this great chunky, I don't even know whether to call it a tassel, a dangle. I told him I would finish decoupaging with all the little words and things on his clipboard. And this is actually a real tape measure. And then somewhere, oh, I've jumbled it up. Somewhere there's a Tim Holtz chain. This is the symbol that Michael used when he used to write on an old blog. It's the sigh symbol, and a little home sweet home, and a hammer, and a wrench. This is really loud and really heavy, so I'm just going to set that aside. And the back of the journal, the big toolbox. So I tried to keep the frillies and the fiffies down to a dull roar. I used mostly muslin or blue sari. Michael's eyes are blue, and it's like a mood ring. They're either light blue, gray, or bright blue, and it's a tell. So going inside, I told him that I would make the clasp a chain so he could just hook it over, and he said, "What, I don't get sorry?" So that might stay. Well, here we go. It wants to tie itself. All right. So the fabric panels that are on the front and back and throughout, Dan Morris designs fabric, and if you put in Dan Morris fabric panels with tools or cats or cowboys, you could probably find on Etsy and sometimes on Amazon or eBay, but usually you can find them there. And I used some Tim Holtz paper from Dapper, the mechanical. Michael looking at the lot, and it's important to note the date of October 2021. I actually fussy cut some of the panel cloth, and this is a personal joke with us because whenever I would bring him water or food across the street at the job site, I would want to kiss before I go, and he'd say, "This is a work zone," and act like it was unreasonable to request a kiss, which he, of course, gave me every time. So I used a lot of the gauze grain measuring tape too. And this is when we began. Clifford, the big red tractor, took down the first tree, and we cleared a lot of trees from that property. Our first bonfire over there. And the Lot 9 designation, had to have that up for the building inspector with the building permit posted on site for everybody to see. A lot of the pages through this, I took our second draft of the blueprints and I shredded them. I cut them size, so there's different little aspects of that all the way through. Michael's showing me these drains that have little holes in the side that go around the bottom of the house when everything drains down to make sure the water goes away. Digging the basement. And our first dump truck of very many. So I'll try not to bore you guys to tears with with all the construction geeking. I found pages of antique tools in several books and kind of lifted them off and put them throughout onto tea-dyed pages. That was kind of neat. And some mathematical paper. Our lumber yard across the street, we bought lumber when it was low, all things considered, and boy, it shot up right afterwards. We were so glad that we had everything wood-wise, with the exception of the trusses to put it together. And fun tag. When they were digging, they kept hitting bedrock. Our cabin, our dirt road, we live at the end of a dirt road, and our cabin is on one side of the slope going down, and the cottage is on the other side. So there is no flat land to do anything, and there's bedrock under a lot of things when you dig. Now, more of the blueprints. It was really amazing. My mom had been living at the beach and waking up to a spectacular east-facing sunrise in her condo on the beach, a barrier island, just nothing to obstruct the view. It was stunning. And she said the one thing she needed in the cottage was the morning sunrise, which means the master bedroom had to be facing east. And there are no plans that put a master bedroom on the front of the house. So Michael actually downloaded the architecture CAD program and took a quick course in it and designed the house himself. So it wasn't just building it, it was designing it and then redesigning and tweaking everything as he went through. Just amazing. These were the blocks that they set in to pour the concrete, which was the front of the half of the basement. No, it was the back half of the basement. The front half is cinder block. And Sarah came home from school, Izzy. So actually quite a wonderful cheerleader. The original. It's actually pretty close to coming out that way. The posts are a bit different and the windows are larger, but just amazing. And the little charms in the first signature are a tape measure and a hacksaw. I think that's called a hacksaw. I tried to keep the charms on the inside. Usually I try to put them on the outside so people can write and not have like buttons or charms on the next page under it. But with this, I did the opposite because, you know, he's a boy and I didn't want it all blingy until you opened it up at least. I'm putting in the block. I guess the block was the front half and the concrete was the back half. It's amazing I can't even remember that now. It was ages ago. Ah, yes. Deliveries. So many deliveries. And the first of many, many dump trucks of stone to fill up the bottom of the garage. A little sorry. Did a little extra stitching down it. Tried to make it not be too girly. No flowers or little swirls or anything. This stands on a post. It's a hydrant to, you know, hook your hose into in the yard. And it got run over twice over at the cottage. We had to keep replacing it. So this is actually the panel from one of the replacement faucets. A little wrench on there. Some more tools. Thank goodness for this tractor. It toted more things around and dug more trenches and hauled more things. It must have saved us quite a bit of money in the end getting it. Fun day, there were 5 delivery trucks lined up down the road with various things to drop off. And the framing began. This is a neat picture. I was actually standing on top of the caboose looking down on our driveway, which is a semicircle at the road and the house being built across the street. In crafting and in construction, measure once, cut twice. Michael says that, shaking his finger at me. He's a very serious guy until he's not. And the paint swatches. Don't get me started on the paint swatches. Oh, and more of the framing. It was just surreal watching it all come together step by step. And something happened for every delivery or every part or every piece that came. There was a problem that had to be remedied. Something had to be fixed or sent back or replaced. And we just stuck it out and made it through. I'm not quite sure how. Lots of inspections. The housing guys came up, and after a while, they were so impressed with Michael's work. They would say, "Well, you didn't have to do that." He said, "Yeah, but we get the high winds up here. We get the torrential rains, the drainage and such, and just above and beyond and everything." Sorry, I can't do this flip through without gushing on Michael. He just really pulled off the impossible with this whole project. And there he is putting drains. These weren't necessary, but he wanted to have drains all through the basement, which is now finished, in case there ever was a water leak, so it could be carried right away out under the house. Paint samples for bathrooms and bedrooms. The sun and the shadow was so pretty when this was being framed with the lines at the different time of day. It was like a psychedelic sundial almost being inside. The cats loved being up on the beams too. Ah, the Tyvek. Yes. The white wrapped around the house and then put on the roof. I guess it wasn't Tyvek that they put on the roof. I guess it was some kind of other insulator. But yeah, I got a lifetime supply. I got rolls and rolls of it. And this is looking out the side window from the cottage over to our homestead with my greenhouse. And you can see our roof over there in the caboose. The greenhouse, the barn, and the caboose. Another busy delivery day over there. Little hammer on the plans. The building permit. I had to sew that in. It's a Xerox copy of the building permit, but symbolic. A couple more little charms here. Michael decided we needed a storage shed because, you know, you can't have too many sheds, which I immediately said, dibs later. It's still full of stuff. This carport, this old carport was on the property where we built the cottage. So Michael took a whole day and leveled this with all the correct things and then covered it with plastic. and then covered it with rock. And then a shed appeared and promptly was filled up. Just one of the schematics for the front door. So that was neat. It was like a little flip through. I just clipped all those on here with a little power drill. I actually got the tools, some of the charms from Hobby Lobby. I think I ordered a set from Etsy as well. But then when I was in probably Hobby Lobby or Michael's at Christmas, they have a area that has mini Christmas ornaments for people who do little trees. And they had a tool set on it. So I got the colorful chunky ones. The Tyvek page. And all through this paper, what held it down were these little green plastic discs with a staple in it, which of course fell off and got scattered as they did this. And I would go along picking them all up, and they would come home on the bottom of Michael's boots. And the roofing guys came up. That was one of the few crews we had come in that Michael and the two builders that helped him did not do. We had roofers come in, and they finished it up in a day or so. More of the roofers up there. Some of this fun painted sari. And this was the house being built from inside my garden, where I could say my mom lives over the sunflowers. Them bringing shingles up to the roof and plopping them up there for the roofers. And just like that, it was roofed. The guy's working on the siding in the next couple pictures, I think, but started to come together quickly. We're on the fourth and final signature. Some more paint swatches. This is my favorite tag. The buttons are the colors of most of his work shirts and his eyes. And his little, hey, this is a construction zone. He's so cute. And these are one of the things about the valley trusses. It was a very complicated roof. We went back and redesigned it right before the building started so that there would be a south-facing roof area for solar panels if he wanted to add solar later. This was fun. This is the master bedroom, which the whole house was built around. This faces north, so the front windows face east. And that is my mom and my daughter Emily and her daughter Delilah, who live in the house now. Em takes care of Mom, and Delilah takes care of everyone, and it's wonderful. Some stitching, and the room is now about that color, Wedgwood blue. I don't know which of those colors we actually picked, but boy, it is just, it's warm and welcoming and large and has been wired for everything that could make it more comfortable. There's a gas fireplace in the master bedroom as well. That was a good idea. It's kind of funny how he made the garage big enough to pull his tractor in. Put some Tim Holtz treads, the stamps. And that is him and his tractor in the garage. Of course, the garage is full right now and barely even fits Emily's car because we've got so many building things still going on and the landscaping and such. But this is the living room going out to the back deck. This door stays open, this door can open, and that's a window. The kitchen windows were great too. They're casement windows that roll out. At some point, I'll get the pictures from the finished house when it was painted and such before they properly moved in, and I'll get those added. I'll post those too. And Emily had her room painted approximately that color, and that was the bathroom. And Delilah's room, I guess she just got one tone of purple. So everybody got to pick out their happy colors. One of the many labels that had to be peeled off each plank of hardwood flooring. This is great. That's Delilah on the deck. Delilah, before she knew she would be living in the house, sent this down through the mail. And of course it got chewed up because she had a wax seal on it and there was a wrench inside, a metal wrench. And she sent this little metal wrench because it was a tool that I could put in Michael's journal. I found this for your journal for Michael. Love, Delilah. How sweet is that? So, thank you, Delilah. That was super sweet. All of the different sheens. You can get your flat all the way up to gloss, semi-gloss, eggshell, satin, very fancy colors of the finish of what the paint feels like. There's so many decisions to make. That's what I call the cottage spaceship. The corners all have floodlights that can light up in it. I didn't even touch up the blue in those pictures. It came through just at dusk when it was turned on. Just amazing. Really, really pretty house he built. This was fun. I wasn't sure how to attach these, so I just kind of plopped a little glue on a few tags and then sewed this on, and it worked. It didn't go so well in the other journal I'm working over. I've had to release a few. And that is the house in October of 2022. It takes 2 years usually, start to finish, to get a house built. And there's looking at the blank land in 2021. And there's the house. They didn't move in until April of this year, but it was just amazing. It was buttoned up, as they say. There are literally 2 turtle doves sitting in front of the house. So that's my driveway looking across the street. And I took this little index card and put his little sigh symbol on it. And I put my card in there so he wouldn't forget who made it. Yeah. So that is the house that Cog built. I have a whole stack of things that I have left out. There's a lot of blank pages. All of the business cards from the suppliers, receipts of things with personal information on it that I will fill up with later. In addition to, I can't tell you how many great pictures of our cats over there doing silly things way up on the beams, and just so many fun times that we had over there getting this done. So I'll give you little blurbs on the update, but I did give him his journal last night, and I started out by saying, it would have been great if I'd had time to make you a journal and catalog all that, but I can't imagine how much work would go into something like that, and I wouldn't even know how to go back and accumulate all of these things after the fact. And he said, yeah, that's a nice thought, honey. And I said, well, that didn't happen. And I gave him his journal all wrapped up. So he said he finally he goes, now I actually have a Mrs. Cog. And he did all the appropriate gushing and stuff. He is an absolute sweetheart. So thanks so much for suffering through this journey down memory lane with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.